When I walked into this room, some of you saw me as a model, some of you saw me as an entrepreneur, maybe someone that you follow on social media, and some of you have no clue who I am, and that's cool too, because you're going to find out. But to me, when I walk into a room, I'm all of those things, but I'm first and foremost a black woman. Now, I had to start off today like this because I felt like I couldn't speak to you about creativity within crisis, social media, the modeling industry, or anything really, without my experiences being shaped to an extent by the color of my skin. Now, I was thrust into this crazy industry when I was 14 years old, when I was scouted coming home from school. I was an academic schoolgirl whose main concerns were getting good grades and being on the netball team. And I guess you could say that I was super naive. Although I was aware of race, I wasn't truly exposed to the ignorance of racism until I entered into the modeling industry. At this age, I was very into fashion. I actually wanted to be a fashion journalist, but I guess you could say I never noticed the lack of representation within the fashion industry because it was never questioned before. It was normal for me to walk into a store and look at all the campaign imagery and see nobody who looked like me, or go to a makeup counter and not see any brown faces of beauty. But I guess that kind of made sense because back then there wasn't even any foundations in my shades, so... And also, remember, I was only 14, so the only magazine that I was collecting was the Argos catalogue to circle my Christmas presents. So you can imagine that when I entered into this industry, I thought it was going to be some sort of like America's Next Top Model, diverse fantasy land. Like, I didn't think that my race was going to play such a big part of my experiences within the industry. But one thing that I do remember, though, was the first time that I saw Arlena Sosa's Lancome campaign. It was very poignant to me because I'd just been signed, maybe a few months or so, and I was coming home from some of my first castings. And I looked up on the side of a building in Old Street, and I saw her face. It was huge, a huge billboard. The first time that I'd ever seen a black model's face alone so big in London before. It was a warm feeling. I felt seen and represented, and that I could achieve big things in this crazy industry that I just stumbled into. But as I became more acquainted with my surroundings, it became very weird to me for an industry that felt almost purposely void of black people, that it was white people who made me feel so hyper-aware that I wasn't like them, that my experiences were going to differ greatly to that of a white model's. And I learned at a very young age that I was going to be put in scenarios where I'd be treated differently simply because I was black. Now, let me just paint a little picture for you. I was given the amazing advice by an agent to never go into a casting after another black girl, just in case the casting director got us confused, and it made it even harder to get that one spot out of 50 that was reserved for a black model. But this same casting director didn't seem to have a problem differentiating between the 10 to 15 blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girls who were going to walk the same show. But it's me and my bald-headed friend, Grace Bowl, who couldn't be seen next to each other. All right. That's me and my friends going into the casting, by the way. Like, what? Wait, what? I was basically told to lower my expectations of what I could achieve within the industry simply because I was black. And that anybody who was even close to my complexion should be considered my competition. But I knew that white models didn't have to feel that way. Maybe because they had the same hair color as another girl, or eye color, or maybe because they actually looked like somebody else, but never because of their race. But these were some of the things that every single black model experienced in one way, shape, or form when entering into the industry. And we accepted it because we didn't know any better. We were young, we were impressionable, and we were actually made to feel that we should even be grateful to be part of such an amazing industry. It was normalized, and we often felt like we didn't have a voice or a safe space to communicate. Because whenever you as a black model did decide to speak up, you were given the fierce diva or the angry black girl tag. There was even a time when I was verbally attacked by a male hairdresser for simply stating that putting a water-based product in my hair would make it frizz, and the look was meant to be straight and shiny. And when I tried to voice these concerns to my agents, of course they were appalled, but the general consensus was, sorry, babe, that's just like the way of the world. Like, I'm sorry that's happening to you, but can you just like be professional and take it on the chin? Is my name Floyd Mayweather to be taking verbal abuse from a white man on the chin? Is this a boxing ring or is this backstage at a fashion show? Let me know. I was genuinely at a loss as to where I stood because, remember, I'm a teenage girl, so I already had the usual teenage issues of insecurities, bullying, not knowing yourself. And then all of a sudden, I was a model, and everybody was telling me that, you have pretty privilege, right? And that I'm technically at an advantage in the world. But then factor in being black, and all of a sudden it was like, you're pretty for a black girl. And also, don't be seen in the same room as another black girl because you all kind of look the same. And your hair, really difficult to work with. And your skin won't even make products for that. And generally speaking, you're going to be paid less, work less, and treated lesser than simply because you were black. It was a confusing and exhausting time to be a black girl within the industry. And these experiences extended online too. As a young girl, I would go online and I would see endless banter at the expense of black women. There would be jokes about being able to physically abuse us with more ease due to our skin tone. Some of your now favorite celebrities back in the day jumped on the black girl as banter bandwagon as well because it was simply an easy way to get the whole timeline laughing with minimal retaliation. And whenever you as a black girl did try and defend yourself online, everyone would say that it was just a joke or that it was just a phase that that person was going through. These were just some of the experiences of black girls, and these existed online and offline for us. Before this happened, actually, I did feel kind of alone, and I did feel like the only thing that I could do was put my head down and push through and hope that one day I would be successful enough to not be treated this way. And it's crazy to think that at such a young age, I equated being successful with the only way that I could be treated with basic human respect. But there was only so much that these situations and people could do to try and crush my spirit and determination. After I finished school, I began working more and traveling and meeting more and more black girls. And we began speaking and sharing our stories and perspectives. And I realized that I wasn't as alone as I thought. I met people like Zuri Tibby, Adesuwa, Grace Bowl, and Jordan Dunn. And I began to feel hopeful. I began to feel less alone. And that change was afoot. But I just didn't know how to become a part of it other than merely just existing within the industry. And I guess we all kind of felt that same way because we were still so young and we were still in the process of learning how truly powerful we as black women were. But after years of upsetting situations, I realized that my silence hadn't gotten me a damn thing. Those same hairdressers still had their jobs. Those same racist fashion brands were showing every fashion week. I was still going to the toilets crying every season. And I was still meeting new black girls who were echoing the exact same experiences that I had had and feeling like they had no voice. And that's when I realized that my silence made me complicit in the mistreatment of the next generation of black models. And that alone made me want to speak up. I stopped trying to toe the line because I realized that my silence hadn't gotten me and my friends anything. Social media played a huge part in giving black women a platform to share their stories and perspectives. And I guess I was subconsciously inspired and thought, why not me? One day, I was backstage at a show during New York Fashion Week. They asked who was available to do my makeup, and a makeup artist put up their hand. I sat in her chair, and I realized that she didn't have any foundations that were in my skin tone at all. She had 30 foundations for white models, and there was one brown foundation, which she was trying to make work for me. Instead of getting angry at that situation, though, I used it as an opportunity to kind of educate her, and I always carried my own makeup kit with me. This was an experience that I documented online, and I just kept it real about the experiences of black models within the industry, and it went viral. I was so surprised and shocked. Not just because people were sharing what I was saying, but because they were listening and supporting me. I was able to write articles and do interviews speaking about diversity, the lack of representation within the fashion industry, and the experiences of Black models. It was just such a crazy time for me. I realized that finally, after years within the industry, I'd finally found my voice. And this was a feeling that I wanted to extend to others, not just women within my industry. A few years later, I founded LAP the Brand, which stands for Leomie Anderson, the project, the purpose, the brand, which is both an online clothing brand and a platform. And with the online platform, women can write about anything, be it sex, mental health, relationships, politics, race, whatever, as long as you're a self-identifying woman. I guess you could say that if I hadn't gone on that journey within the modeling industry and gone through those hardships and found my voice, I wouldn't have been even half as inspired to start my own platform, because I wouldn't have seen the true power of sharing your stories and having a voice firsthand. And this is something that I want to encourage everybody in this room to do today. I want all of you guys to think about ways that you can help those who go unseen or unheard be seen by everybody. You don't have to be a model with a big social media following or years of hardship. Anybody who's in a position of privilege can help those who go unseen. And looking around this room, I'm seeing hella privilege. Because I wish that more people had stopped acting legally blind to the experiences of Black models within the industry and spoken up when they saw what was happening to me and others like me. I wish that somebody had spoken up and seen what I was going through and gave me the confidence to speak up on it as well. Everybody's story has the ability to ignite change, but it can never be heard if it is never told. What will you decide to do today? And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you. Thank you.